I may have seen a bag of cash. So, is there a demand?
You may have seen a bag of cash.
I may have seen a bag of cash. You've got questions and we've got answers. We do this every week, but you know what? This might have to be the last week we do it because we don't get enough questions. Guys, if you have questions, anything at all about EVs, about batteries, about solar, post them. And if we continue getting questions, we'll continue answering them. Otherwise, we'll be back to just covering the news. But don't you want to know stuff? I think you do. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So the editor is still on break, so that's why there's no music, and I'm getting some compliments on no music, and I'm getting some sadness on no music. I'll split the difference and say we'll do music sometimes in the future. How about that?
It's a mixed bag, isn't it?
It is. It is. You cannot please everyone. I used to have background music on the videos, and no matter what you put up, people complain. And when you put nothing, people complain. So I can't help you. My frustration is with repetitive things like the sign-ins and lengthy intros and outros is that it makes it so that you can't binge watch things without losing your mind a little bit. Some shows just do that. Hey, let's get into the questions. These are in the order of most asked, of most upvoted, but there were only 3 questions last week. That's, guys, come on, in the comments. What are we doing here? Leave them. By the way, head over to the Tesla Life show. They do a great show each week. I'm told, it's beneath me. No, they do a great show, and they have a lot of fun, and they address questions in the comments, which is great for the live chat. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm ancient, and I'm trying to remember when Halloween became infested with spiders. As a youngster, it was pumpkins and a pillowcase over your head to be a ghost, and the girls carried a broom to be a witch. Love your videos, Canadian Jack. Which, is, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Canadian Jack.
You're not?
No.
Oh, yeah. He's just down the street.
Well, you must know him. You must know him. All Canadians know each other.
We all know each other. Absolutely. There's only 40 million of us. Come on. It's easy.
It's like when Homer went to India and he was looking for Apu's cousin, and he said, "Are you Apu's cousin?" He just walked out into Mumbai. And he goes, "Are you Apu's cousin?" The guy goes, "Who?" He turns to another guy and goes, "Are you Apu's cousin?" He goes, "You must be Homer." And he goes, "Oh, finally."
Exactly.
I don't know. When did spiders become synonymous with Halloween? To me, it was forever, but I was born in 1974.
Yeah, it's always been part of Halloween as far as I can see. Again, I was born in 1965, so it's...
yeah, there you go.
Spiders were always there in art, in figures that people would stick into their gardens or the side of their houses. It's always been there.
Guys, if you don't like these questions, ask better ones. That's all I can say. And on this one, I'm proud to say the best answer is no answer. We don't have one for you, Jack. Apologies. Then we've got this gem. I don't care what they spell out on Giga Texas, as long as they add more solar panels. Should Tesla spend the money they save by solar panels to buy more solar panels each quarter? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Do you know why they haven't added more solar panels?
I don't know the actual reason. What is the actual reason?
Because they're not done cutting the roof. You can't add them until you're done cutting the roof. So the section over which they've placed the panels, they're done. And they've only had to move a small section at one point. And I don't think it was for construction. As I recall, it was for repair or maintenance or something. So yeah, once a building is done, they add solar panels. If you look at the roof of Giga Shanghai, it is as covered as it can practically be. If you look at the roof of Giga Berlin, if you look at the car park of Giga Berlin, they've added as much as the city will allow, or the permitting office, whoever that may be. And if you look at Fremont, the same. So the reason we're not seeing more is because it's a work in progress.
Do you think they will add solar to the new parking structure eventually?
Not the parking structure. I think it would pose a logistical challenge in terms of tying into the existing concrete, but the surface level parking, they could absolutely start covering. They just haven't. Those are not as cheap as rooftop, but I'm confident they will come at some point. So that's a great question. What about battery fires? So I don't remember what we were talking about last week because I've released 13 videos since then. It was just, by the way, I should clarify, I looked it up. No, the urban legend was that you eat 8 spiders a year in your sleep. And even that is untrue because what are you talking about?
So 8 pounds of spiders was just a little bit outside of the lines.
Well, considering it was 0 was the correct number, any number over that is wrong. So I'm no more wrong than 8. Let's say that.
I think 8 pounds was a lot more than 8.
And it wasn't, when I said, what do they weigh, half a gram? And I looked it up. No, it's like a 20th of a gram. It's like a half of a 10th of a gram. So it was like 1,000 spiders a night or something. It might have been
You never notice it. It's such a small number.
Well, people had some helpful suggestions. They said, just, you got to add like a spoonful of sugar. It makes the spiders go down easier.
Exactly.
So what about battery fires? And we see this question a lot. It's a fair question. When an electric car is submerged in salt water, corrosion can occur. It can cause a fire. Is that true of other cars?
No.
It is actually true. It's anything with any kind of electricity in it. If you submerge it in salt water, you're gonna have a bad time. There was a neat video on YouTube. I'll probably put it up on B-roll right now of a ship at sea in very rough waters. And on the deck of the ship was a bunch of cars, and the salt water caused them to corrode and short circuit. And before you know it, the entire deck is engulfed in flames. It doesn't have to be an electric car.
So even the 12-volt battery system is what's causing some of this corrosion, sparks, and fires.
Yes. Anything with electricity and water, especially salt water, can cause a fire. And like the EV or the car carrier that we saw burnt, that was not the EVs that caused it. And that thing burned for ages, and they finally were just hosing it down with a fire boat, which I think they should call an anti-fire boat, but maybe it's got a second purpose I'm unaware of. And they had to balance it out, because if we pump much more water, the darn thing's going to sink. So battery fires.
I think this question probably came up because of that B-roll footage of that car in Florida, that EV that caught on fire, because the salt water was up to basically the door panels and was waving in and probably soaked it pretty good.
Might have soaked it a little bit. Ryan would like to know, can you talk about your thoughts on the Cybertruck? Is there a demand issue? If they're sending out emails to all the people that made a pre-order, wouldn't it indicate a demand issue? And does it qualify for the 7.5K rebate? Thanks. So there's a couple questions here.
Yeah.
I have heard of people who had very late reservations who were invited to configure.
Yep. I've heard of a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there was a conversation on X where a few different influencers who ordered the Cybertruck late were commenting about how they had received the okay to configure and order. And they were kind of surprised because, of course, they had not placed their order early at all. And they were told that they were last in line, but yet these invites are still coming in. Some of them even commented how they've been speaking to others that are not influencers, that the same thing is happening. So there is a question about what demand is like here. It's a valid question.
It's a valid question. Absolutely. So the first part I will address, because it's the easy part, is what about the $7,500 rebate? At the moment, it doesn't qualify. Tesla had applied for it in 2023. No one got to use it. It did not get under the $80,000 cap. They didn't apply in 2024. I assume they thought they could ride the whole year out at 100,000, but their production increased perhaps faster than they thought it would. So then back to the question of, does it mean there's a demand issue? Now, I don't know about you, but I know a handful of people who placed many orders for Cybertrucks. I know people who placed an order for each variant, just in case that was the first one that came up. I know people who ordered 50 of them because they were going to put them into robo-taxi fleets, or if the orders came out sequentially without a no resale clause, they were just going to flip them. If I'm first in line, I'm going to flip that bad boy. They were not able to flip them. That was prohibited. Some people still did sell them. Some people sold them overseas. I have met someone who brokered a number of deals like that, and he has shown me photographs of bags of cash, which is terrifying. I am not going to be party to that. I will share you some details on that when we're done on the video. I'm not going to publish it. I'm not going to out you, my friend, because you are my friend. But there's more to the story. I'm not going to share it publicly. I may have seen a bag of cash. So, is there a demand?
You may have seen a bag of cash.
I may have seen a bag of cash. So, with that said, is there a demand problem? Well, the people who wanted to buy 100 are not buying 100, and it dropped from 100,000 to 80,000. 80 is still a lot.
Yep.
And it is not dropped to 72.5 because that credit is not yet there. So I don't know. It could also be that people are in certain areas and they just wanted to clear them out before the end of the quarter. I don't know, but the price will drop by another 7,200, 72.5, and it will be that much less expensive. That will amp up demand again. But it could be that in 6 months or a year, we're through all the people willing to pay 80,000. And hopefully at that time, production costs have fallen enough. So Ryan, thank you for a quality question that isn't about how you can be me or how many spiders I eat.
One other thing I'll mention to Brian, is that some of the people that are now being prompted with go ahead and order and configure, since it is so early, they weren't expecting it at this time. They're saving money for a deposit. They thought that they would have at least a year. And therefore, even these people are passing on the opportunity because their financial situation has not allowed them to do so. They thought they would have a year of saving, and that is not the case with this offer.
They may also be waiting for lower interest rates, or FSD transfer is available again through the end of this quarter, but not to a Cybertruck.
Right.
Crazy. But that's another lever you can pull. Wasn't it a Taycan hybrid that set fire to a whole boatload of vehicles? To which a better answer than I had is, if you're referring to the Dutch ship fire, what I'm reading now is that the fire wasn't caused by an EV. Porsche's off the hook on this one. If it was a Tesla, you'd have certainly heard about it, though. And you did hear about it. You did, endlessly, breathlessly, because they thought it was a Tesla. Now, I know I said there were only 3 questions. I went to our other video and pulled any questions off of that one. Brian, what was that point you were trying to make about that article about solar panels in the Sahara? I don't get it. Are its conclusions false because it was written by an unreliable website? What's the point you're trying to make here? Do you remember that one?
Yep. That was the discussion about how the Sahara wasn't an ideal place for solar.
And billions have already been lost. Okay, so first of all, that is wrong. No billions have been lost. It is generating the amount of power it was expected to generate at the rate it was expected to generate it. So no money's been lost. They made claims that if you were to cover it with billions of panels, and they did say billions, I believe, as I recall, that it could create a temperature difference that could slightly alter airflow around it, modify the weather, however slightly. Guys, burning fuel also modifies the weather, and also creates downwind carcinogens and exacerbates asthma. My point was that publication is absolutely on the take for big oil, 100%. And the fact that their funding sources are conveniently left off the publication makes it that much more conspicuous. What do you think?
Bingo on all accounts.
All right. So Grandma yells bingo and we all win. New game. No, I don't know. Were the bots staged? Now, this is from 2 days ago, but I think by 2 days ago, we still already knew. Yeah, they were. Well, you guys discussed it on your show on Wednesday. Yep. Why don't you tell me what your conclusion was?
Our conclusion was that there was a lot of human interaction with those bots. They may have walked out maybe under their own direction, but definitely when it came to the crowd interactions, when the conversations were happening, when they were playing charades or rock, paper, scissors with people, those things were being controlled by a human somewhere remotely. The arm movements, the hands, it was real human-like, and we were really impressed when we were first watching it. And then we started to hear the soundtrack of actual people that were teleprompting remotely over speakers in the robot. And we said, okay, this is a lot of remote work going on here.
Puppeteers. They were puppeteers.
Yeah.
And the problem was I was there for a software demo, and what I got was a hardware demo. I knew that their bots would move great. What I was hoping to see them was move autonomously. And I know on your show, I think it was Casey said, well, but they walked out autonomously. It's like, did they though? Or were they told, walk until you reach this point? Because I think that's what happened. If they'd have said to them verbally, go out to that light pole over there and have a conversation with people, and then it did that by itself, I think that would have been powerful.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
So yes, the robots, I don't know if staged is the right word, but they were teleoperated, and at least once or twice, one or two of the robots admitted that there are humans behind it, but how much they wouldn't say.
Well, that's the thing, though, is if you don't tell us what's really going on, you leave the person that's watching this to come up with their own conclusion, however correct or incorrect it may be, because you're not telling us where the line is. And that's unfortunate.
We got to know. What did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it in the comments below. Ask a question. We will answer it next week if we get at least 5 questions. If not, if this segment isn't working, that's fine. We get it. We can do something else. But I just have a fun time hanging out with Mark from the Tesla Life Show. He does great work over there. All that good stuff. Cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots. Yes, robots on the Flippity Flop.